And we're starting with WWE, and as head of talent, Triple H is always on the hunt for new names to sign with the company and be a part of NXT, which is headed by Shawn Michaels. In the past, several AEW stars have come up on WWE's radar, including reigning World Champion MJF and reigning TNT Champion Wardlow, and now another champion has got the game's attention. BWE reports that both Triple H and Shawn Michaels have shown interest in signing Hook, the son of Taz and reigning FTW champion. While Taz is also with AEW, the Human Suplex Machine reportedly wants his son to go to WWE at some point, believing it'll only do good things for Hook's career in wrestling. Despite three legends wanting Hook in WWE, that won't be happening as long as Hook remains under a contract with AEW, and it's unclear just how much longer his deal with the promotion is. Taz has said that he hopes to see his son signed by Triple H sooner rather than later, and don't be surprised to see WWE make plays to sign the FTW champion when the time is right. During this year's WWE draft, close to a dozen superstars were called up from NXT, with Indy Hartwell, Grayson Waller, Pretty Deadly, and JD McDonough all making the move. Clearly, WWE's rosters across all three brands are looking much different from just a few months ago, but more changes are going to be coming very soon. BWE reports that there are a few superstars who will be called up to Raw and SmackDown soon, but there's no confirmation as to when this will be. BWE added that names including Ilya Dragunov and Braun Breaker will have their time in NXT before moving up, implying that the pair will be some of the few to be moved in the not-too-distant future. In NXT, Dragunov and Breaker have been at odds ever since Braun ambushed the Russian superstar last week and justified his attack by saying Dragunov was wrong to call himself the most intense NXT superstar around. Breaker and Dragunov have reached the top of NXT and NXT UK respectively, and there's a lot of buzz about their call-ups, and who else do you want to see called up soon to the main roster? The main roster will soon feature talent from NXT, but if you've watched the Gold brand in recent years, you'll have seen plenty of main roster superstars appear and compete on Tuesday nights. Many have called out WWE for allowing this kind of movement, especially after the recent draft was promoted around defined rosters, but fans can expect a lot more changes coming soon. When BWE was asked about plans for the roster, they reported that WWE had plans for a major overhaul of the roster since WrestleMania 39. Fans can expect to see names go around until they balance every brand according to BWE, but it wasn't stated who fans can expect to move. It was after WWE Backlash that the promotion's new rosters came into effect, but these rosters clearly aren't as fixed as first thought, and who would you like to see move brands, all in the name of balance? On night 2 of the upcoming NXT Gold Rush event, Carmelo Hayes will put his NXT Championship on the line against Baron Corbin, who has been faring much better in NXT than on the main roster. Corbin is looking to win his first championship in WWE in 6 years, but no matter the result of his match with Hayes, the NXT title is coming to the main roster. BWE reports that WWE is currently discussing having the NXT Championship defended at SummerSlam in what will be a first in the 11-year history of that title. Not only that, but there are also talks for a second championship from NXT to be defended either on the SummerSlam card itself or at some point during SummerSlam weekend. While nothing has been confirmed by WWE, it has been reported that SummerSlam will see Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar in some kind of stipulation match, and it's believed that Trish Stratus will take on Becky Lynch. As always, plans can change, and these NXT title talks may be shelved by Vince McMahon, but don't be surprised to see some NXT representation at the biggest party of the summer. Now, it's no secret that the company's network distribution rights with USA and Fox will expire next year, and there's been a lot of talk about the future of the promotion. In addition to Fox and the USA Network, Amazon Prime and Disney are reportedly watching WWE's distribution talks with great interest, and now another name could be about to throw their hat in the ring. It's been rumored that Warner Bros. Discovery, who already host AEW, could make a bid on WWE's programming when the time is right, after already seeing success with Tony Khan's first promotion. When Khan was asked about Warner Bros. Possibly working with WWE, the AEW president spoke very fondly about his current relationship with the network distributor. He said, "I don't want to talk too much about the contract we have with Warner Bros. Discovery, but I definitely have some pretty favorable things in there, and given the commitment that Warner Bros. Discovery is making for AEW with Collision and Dynamite, I think it really shows that they're fully committed to AEW. We just had AEW All Access also launch on Max, in addition to being on TBS every Wednesday night and on TNT every Friday night, and now every Saturday night, starting this week with the launch of Collision. Regarding Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav's interest in wrestling, Khan believed that Zaslav has indeed become a wrestling fan and described Zaslav as a strong supporter of AEW. He said, "I really believe David Zaslav has been a very strong supporter of AEW. I believe when he came in and said, 'I want 2 more hours of AEW on Saturday nights,' that was one of the biggest votes of confidence that you could give us, and it was certainly very favorable for us to hear that he wanted that, and then to be able to deliver in a very quick turnaround and put together what I think is going to be a great show with AEW Collision every Saturday night." Though Khan didn't provide details about WWE's TV rights negotiations or any potential involvement of Warner Bros. Discovery, he made it clear that he has a strong relationship already with WBD. It's entirely possible that Warner Bros. Discovery could one day air WWE content, but Khan isn't worried that it'll affect his relationship with WBD, but who knows what'll happen over the next couple of years. More from NXT, as this week's show saw Nathan Frazier capture the Heritage Cup, ending the 292-day reign of Noam Dar. As the match was preparing to start, Dar made his way to the ring on crutches, stating that he was too injured to compete, and allowed Meta 4 ally Oro Mensah to compete in his place. This didn't work out too well for Dar, as Mensah would lose the NXT Heritage Cup on his behalf, but this injury may not have been just for show. According to a WWE inside source who reached out, there are questions within the company about whether Dar's injury could be legitimate, with the feeling being that WWE wouldn't keep him from competing this week unless he was actually hurt. All we know for certain is that Nathan Frazier now holds the NXT Heritage Cup, and we hope to get an update on Noam Dar's condition very soon. Now, Cody Rhodes has been positioned as one of WWE's top babyfaces ever since he returned in April of last year, and the American Nightmare has earned that spot as a good guy. As we've seen multiple times, Rhodes always waits to take photos with as many fans as possible at WWE events, but this week he went the extra mile for fans who couldn't make it to the show. On Twitter, a fan explained that he bought tickets to a WWE event in Charleston as his son was eager to see Cody Rhodes, but when Rhodes was pulled from the show, they canceled their tickets. You can only imagine how disappointing it was for the father and son when they learned that Cody was back on the show, only to learn that all the tickets that would have allowed his son to get up close with Rhodes were gone. In a tweet, Cody revealed that it was thanks to Jesse James that he was added back to the Charleston show, and said that not only are there some front row seats for the father and son, but they're on him. It's an incredibly generous offer by Rhodes, who will make sure the father and son have a fantastic time in Charleston, and just goes to show why WWE is right to keep the American Nightmare as a top babyface. Recently, NXT superstar Tony D'Angelo was locked up after an informant in his family ratted him out to the feds. While D'Angelo has always called himself a legitimate businessman who deals in waste management, the Don of NXT is currently behind bars, and a certain ex-con knows what that feels like. On Twitter, self-professed hardened criminal Dominik Mysterio said that only the strong survive, in what appears to be a sign of support from the Judgment Day to Tony D'Angelo. Channing Stax Lorenzo is on the hunt for who ratted out his boss, and it'll be interesting to see where things go from here and who really ratted out the Don of NXT. And we're ending today with AEW, as the excitement from this week's Dynamite didn't stop once the show was over. This week's show was headlined with the Elite defeating the Blackpool Combat Club, but Kenny Omega was laid out by Will Ospreay ahead of their IWGP US Heavyweight title match at Forbidden Door. After the show, Ospreay had a stare down with Bryan Danielson on the stage, teasing something between the two down the line, and the crowd was eager to see the pair interact. In the ring, Omega invited Eddie Kingston, who returned to AEW during the show, to join the Elite, but the Mad King opted not to give a definitive answer. Tony Khan then emerged to announce that Will Ospreay will be in action this Friday on Rampage, and fans can expect another excellent match from the British wrestler. This summer will be a huge period of time for AEW, arguably the biggest since the summer of 2021, and the fans in Washington got their money's worth with what happened both during and after AEW Dynamite.